So, congratulations. We are now at the what to expect at closing.
Yeah.
This is the celebratory part.
Yeah, it is. We've come a long way. We're finally here. And so what can you expect leading up to closing day, the closing table, sometimes we call it, like here's what you can expect those last 1 to 3, 4 days leading up to it.
Right. So, first thing is be prepared. The buyers, they're probably going to want to do a final walkthrough and make sure that the house is still in good condition.
Yeah, this is a very common aspect of the final steps leading up to the buyers have that right to do what's called a final walkthrough. Now, this could be the day of closing,
Could be.
day before, maybe 2 or
Right.
3 days even prior to that. They're going to want to schedule a time to come and walk through the home one final time. Now, this isn't just out of curiosity. This does serve a purpose.
A very big purpose.
Yeah, they want to verify maybe if there was work that was done that was agreed upon during the inspection period. They're going to want to see that the dishwasher was fixed or the roof was patched up or whatever the case might be. And so, as we talked about in the previous video, if you haven't already, it's going to be paramount to have those receipts, the invoices prepared, laid out, available for them to verify that that work was done.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that that is on the kitchen counter, right? So what does the actual closing day look like, Ben?
For sellers, well, this is what it could look like. You're going to be going to the title company to sign papers. It could be the day of closing, but oftentimes what we arrange and what we see is a convenience for the sellers is for you to do what's called pre-signing.
Yeah.
And so you could sign the day of closing, but more often than not, several days prior, you're signing your portion of the documents
Right.
ahead of time.
Yeah, that way when the buyer comes in to sign, they can get their stuff done in a shorter period of time because there's no chit chat, there's no bartering back and forth over anything. There's no issues that way. It's a little cleaner. Yes, it's a little less personal. However, it's really preferred.
I guess we could touch on what closing does not look like. It's not everybody meets in a room and you're meeting the buyers there and it's awkward and you're signing papers and then you're never going to cross paths with the buyer. So hopefully that'll alleviate some
some anxiety
stress there.
Yeah.
It's not how it's done. You won't cross paths with them at all. You'll go to the title company at a time that works best for you and convenience to you. And sign the documents.
Exactly.
There.
Now, when you do show up to the title company, there are a few things that we're going to make sure that you absolutely bring with you. Number one is your state issued ID. Let me correct that. Your valid state issued ID. So, do not show up without it. If you do, you will be sent away to go pick it up and bring it back. That is a non-negotiable.
Yeah, so you should probably even check now.
Right. Look at your ID and make sure that it's valid through at least the day of closing.
Through closing. It might be valid now. We've had it before where between now and closing, it expires.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we've touched on this a couple times, even way prior in this whole process. Please make sure you have a valid ID. That will delay closing probably at your expense as well. That could be a whole
problem.
So that's paramount.
Another thing that I'm going to want you to make sure that you bring with you is your settlement sheet that we already went through. I don't care if it's a digital version or if you printed it out. Either way is fine. I want to make sure that those numbers that we went through match the numbers that we're going to go through today at the title company.
Yeah.
Okay? That way is going to show everything exactly correct. And again, third thing that you're going to need to bring with you are wire instructions. If you are making money on the sale of your home, and we are hoping that you are, you're going to get seller proceeds. And your seller proceeds can be given in the form of a cashier's check or in the form of a trust company's check or a wire transfer. Here's why wire transfer is the best. A wire transfer gets sent immediately to the Fed. The Fed then turns around and sends it to your bank, and it is immediately usable funds. Okay? With a cashier's check, well, you take that to your bank could hold that for literally up to 7 days, and you don't have any access to it.
Yeah.
So we don't want that. So that's why I say wire instructions. What are the wire instructions, Ben?
Well, most people have access to their banking information on their phone, but just in case, you're going to want the accounting number, the routing number, the basic information about whatever account you want this transferred to.
Correct. Yep. And then the other thing is we want to make sure that everybody who is on title is going to be able to be there in person to sign. If not, what happens?
Well, it just delays everything.
Well,
because
it can, or if they know that somebody's not going to be available, what else could they do?
I don't know. What could they do?
Power of attorney.
Oh, that's true.
So we could, let's say that husband and wife, and the husband moves off to the next job.
Like a job transfer,
Yep,
and they're not going to be there. We're dealing with that. We've dealt with that a few times here recently.
And so one of them is not here, but the other one is here. So we need to get a power of attorney for the person who's here to sign for both parties.
True.
And that's very easy to do. We just need to know this ahead of time so that the title company can prepare the power of attorney.
Yeah. So if you're both going to be present, or three of you, or if everyone who's on title, if you're going to be present, and there's no name change, and there's no death in the family, and there's no power of attorney, then it should just be fine.
Right.
If, however, there is a unique
situation,
make sure we know about it. I would think we would have talked about that ahead of time, but sometimes we show up and they're like, oh, so-and-so has already left town.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be.
And that's when it gets tricky.
Yeah.
But if we know about it ahead of time, we've got a process for that.
Okay. So they're there 2 or 3 days ahead of closing, which, by the way, closing is the final day. When we talk about closing or the closing day, we're not closing the door, we're closing the sale, we're closing the whole process. So closing equals this is the final thing.
Yep.
Okay, so it's 2 or 3 days before the actual closing per the contract. About how long are we talking about? How long can they expect? They show up to the title company to sign papers?
Perfect.
What can they expect?
So this is where it's beautiful being the seller.
Yeah.
Right? You show up to the title company and you can expect 15 to 30 minutes and you are in and out. You've signed what you needed to sign and you are done and you are walking away.
Yeah.
That is it.
It's fairly simple.
For the buyer, on the other hand, it's
clean.
it's hour.
The buyer, they have more papers to sign.
Right.
Yeah, but on the seller
for
side,
the seller side here, this is a beautiful thing. You walk in, you got your state IDs, you put them down on the table. They make photocopies of it, and here you go. Here's what we're gonna sign. We go through everything together, make sure all the numbers work, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Right.
But let's talk a little bit about the actual handoff, if you will, of the property. Sometimes we've seen some problems here and some feathers get ruffled here. So as the seller, you do have a few responsibilities. Let's make this transfer of ownership as smooth as possible.
Perfect. So the first thing you're going to want to do that way is make sure that you leave your home in broom clean condition.
Yeah.
And broom clean condition is really rather simple. It's that you've vacuumed, you've swept the floors, you vacuumed the carpets, and you've cleaned the countertops. It's basically a nice surface clean so that when they come in, they're not seeing filth.
Yeah, more than likely you're going to be moving to a new place. It's the reasonable condition that the buyers would expect it to be. Please don't leave a bunch of junk and trash and
paints and anything that was not agreed to be left. make sure that everything that is supposed to be there is there, and make sure that everything that's not supposed to be there is
Yeah.
now gone.
No one likes those kinds of surprises. So again, adhere to the contract. Again, if you've agreed to leave the appliances, then leave the appliances. Don't get creative
yeah.
and tricky now.
Right. The other thing is, what do we do with our keys and our garage door opener?
So a couple things here. One, it's expected to leave all the keys and all the garage door, openers. So check with family members and neighbors even, and collect all those keys, all the garage door openers from all the vehicles.
Right.
And it's very common practice to leave it in one of the kitchen drawers or on the counter. That's very, very common. You're going to want to make sure that's all in that one place, usually in the kitchen area.
Correct. And if you have to, because you don't have a door that doesn't have a deadlock and that's the only lock that there is, you can take that one key, lock it, and take that over with you to the title company and leave it with the title company.
That's true.
So there is that option as well. And the other thing is possession. Now you're out. You have said goodbye to your previous home, and it's final.
It's final. Let's touch on that time of possession, though. I've had this a couple times where, as the seller selling their home, it's closing day. Let's say today is closing day. Right now it's about 1:30. Per the contract, at what date and time is that house now the buyer's?
Right. So if the buyers put on there that it's going to be on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you've got 30 minutes left roughly right now to make sure that you have everything out, the doors are locked, and the place is empty and in good condition.
Yeah. So please be aware of, on that closing day, you don't have until end of business day,
Right.
or
midnight.
It's usually, almost always, per the contract, they take possession. It's their house at the time of closing.
Yeah, when you get paid, in other words, when the money gets transferred, they get the keys.
Which is usually whenever they're signing documents.
Correct.
It could be at 8 a.m. that on closing day. Now, you should know that ahead of time. We'll
Right.
convey that to you, but please don't
think that you have any
Don't
additional time.
bank on, oh, I've got the closing day. I would, it's safe to assume, it would be safe to assume 8 a.m. they're signing.
Yes.
That way you don't get caught in this, that's that,
Right.
because
And
that could
typically,
cause problems.
and typically what we like is to be out the day before.
Yes, that's
So,
best practice.
That is best practice. Anything else that you've got?
No, at this point, it's final. It's done. Congratulations.
Right? You have sold your home.